This is the 2018 Volkswagen Atlas. 2018. This is Volkswagen's new mid-size SUV. Although you'd think it's a full size because it's so darn big. It's really big. It kind of looks like the Explorer had a baby with the Jeep Grand Cherokee. So this is the Highline. This is the second trim from the top. The highest trim is the Executive, but the thing that's really crazy is that this replaces the Touareg. The Touareg started at like $45,000, which is bonkers. And this is almost fully loaded, and this is $48,000. You could basically buy a base model Touareg or an almost fully loaded Atlas. Isn't that crazy? One of the reasons the Touareg was so expensive is because it was made in Germany. This is made in the USA, because nothing says German quality like Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's a I'm gonna offend so many people from Chattanooga. Anyways, apparently it's actually one of the cleanest plants in the world. You may notice there's a bunch of horizontal lines. According to Volkswagen, they did this to make it look bigger. I don't understand how lines make stuff bigger. Hey, this has LED headlights. Now the LED headlights are standard on every trim, whether you get the Trend Line, Comfort Line, Highline, or Executive. And also available on all trims except for the base model is emergency braking. So, like most vehicles nowadays, the sensor for the emergency braking system is inside here. Then if you get the Executive, which starts at 52, then you're gonna have the 360 view, so there's gonna be a camera in the front as well. And then you also have your proximity sensors. If you get the Highline or the Executive, you don't get them on the first two trims, but that's okay. Let's go look at the side of the vehicle. The side profile really looks like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, although pretty sure this is bigger than the Jeep Grand Cherokee. So with this vehicle, if you get the Trend Line, the Comfort Line, or the Highline, then you get these 18-inch rims. These rims actually look kind of boring, but if you get the Exec Line, which is the highest trim, starts at $52,000 Canadian, then you get these 20-inch black rims. They look really nice. You can also buy those black rims in the Sport Appearance package for about $2,000. And then again, if you get the base model, then you don't have this Smart Key access system. There's no button. You just put your hand on the handle. Look at that. You also have a remote start, which comes from the factory, but that's not available on the base model. And if you get the Exec Line, then these mirrors will fold out when you approach the vehicle. And also available on all trims except for the base model are blind spot monitoring, which is always really handy. Although there aren't that many blind spots in this vehicle, but you never know when that little convertible is going to be next to you and you just roll over them. You don't want to do that. I really like the back end of this vehicle. I actually like the back end more than the front. These taillights, they look like LEDs, but they are not. You have to get the Exec Line to get the LED taillights, which is kind of strange, but oh well. And because this is the Highline, that means that we get this fancy chrome. And look at this, there's a hitch receiver. If you get the proper hitch, then you can tow 5,000 pounds with this. That's pretty decent. I have a camper and it weighs like 3,500 pounds. I could tow my camper with this. Done. Didn't need to buy that big expensive truck, Evan, you idiot. This is the V6 4Motion. So when you get the Highline, then you are limited to just the V6 engine. If you get the Trend Line or the Comfort Line, then the 4-cylinder comes standard and you can upgrade. I also like the exhaust tips. They're chrome. Oh my God. That's not the exhaust, that's a fake exhaust. And where's the exhaust? There's no hole there. I don't know what to believe anymore. Fake exhaust. I can't even. Anyways, has a power lift gate if you get the Highline. There's extra storage down here. Look at this. This thing just comes out and just whatever. Whoops. You know, this exhaust is fake. I feel like to properly do this, we need a wider angle. But through the magic of editing, I bet that, well, that was a cool effect, wasn't it? So, right here, there's a lot of space. This This is with the third row seating up. That's pretty good. There's a lot of space. I don't even need to do this to prove it, but I will. Look at all of this space. Tons of space. Hello. Let's see how easily you can fold down the seats. You have to put the headrest down first, which isn't that hard. Little buttons. And then you can pull on this lever and push. Look at that. They fold down flat. That's pretty good. Oh wow, look at all that room. A bunch of things that are really impressive about the storage capabilities of this vehicle are the fact that there's these really big cubbies right here and right here. The interior roof line, normally it goes straight this way and then it curves up, but this actually curves up right away. So if you're trying to fit big things in here, it's a lot easier to get them in. Look at that. That's how high it goes. That's really high. Now, I think one of my favorite storage-related features is the fact that everything in here is really square. So you can fit something that is this wide in the back, no problem, because there's nothing sticking out. Yeah, everything is trim and square. So this lever right here to fold the seats down, you can pull it this way if you're from the back. Whoa. Those are heavy seats. You can pull the lever this way and the seat goes forward. But if you're in the front and you're trying to fold the seat down, the lever also pulls this way. So it pulls both ways for comfort and ergonomics. It's one of those small things that makes a big difference. It's totally flat. There are so few vehicles that have a totally flat floor unless you want to get a minivan, but no one wants to buy a minivan. Look at this. My hands don't even reach out. That's crazy. That's so much room. Wow. This is the V6. So the V6 comes standard if you get the Highline or the Exec line. But if you get the Trend line or the Comfort line, then you get the 2-liter turbocharged with 235 horsepower. So you wouldn't think a 4-cylinder could move a vehicle that's this big that well, but I bet it gets by. You can opt for the V6 on the first 2 trims if you want though, but it's an extra $4,000. It also has an 8-speed automatic transmission. Definitely not fast, but you don't, if you're buying a vehicle that's this big, you don't want your kids rolling around in the back because you're flooring it everywhere. It moves as quickly as it needs to. So we are inside the car. It's very boxy, but it's very boxy in a nice way. I really like it. It's very, very simple. You have a heated steering wheel, but that's only on the Highline and the Exec line. And then look at this, piano black. The start button is right here, it's not right here. So the reason they put it here is because when you start your car, right from right here, then the shifter's right here, the drive mode's right here, the parking brake's right here, everything is right here. And that makes a lot of sense. You know, instead of having to go all the way up here and hit start, then go all the way down here, and there's different drive modes. There's snow, regular, off-road, and then there is custom. And so then custom allows you to adjust different parameters. So you can decide how the throttle feels, how the steering feels, all that cool stuff. Very cool. It's also fake wood. It's very fake wood. It feels like plastic. So when you get the Exec line trim, then you have a 12-inch LED here, and the entire instrument cluster is digital. It looks really, really nice, and it's totally customizable. But with this, it's still very nice. It is just more standard of what you find in a vehicle. I think it'd be really cool if they put the 12-inch display in the Highline as well. Another thing that's nice is you have your heated seats. Heated seats come standard. And then you have your cooled seats, but the cooled seats are only available on the Highline. And you have all of your climate modes right here with actual buttons. They're not buried in menus right here. And then you have 3-way automatic climate control, but in the Trend line, it is just manual. Here's something that's really neat. So with this system right here, you have the volume knob for the radio, and then you have this knob. Let's call it a dynamic knob, because it does different stuff in every menu. So if you're in the radio, it changes stations. But then if you go to nav, then look at this. It zooms in and zooms out. That's really cool. That's very cool. I think that's the best use of a knob in a car ever. And yeah, so it does all sorts of different things. You go to car, and look at this. It tells you vehicle status. And what does this do? Nothing. Well, that's okay. If you get the comfort line and the high line, then you get this 8-inch screen. When you get the high line, then you get that with nav. The comfort line doesn't come with nav. But if you get the trend line, then you get a 6-inch screen. It's actually, I think, 6.5 inches, but that's still pretty cool that they give you a touchscreen. I mean, I think nowadays that is par for the course. You need a touchscreen in your vehicle. But one thing that makes this really neat is when you bring your hand close, it knows you're going to touch it. And then it brings up a bunch of extra features. So right now we're on radio, right? All you see is the XM channels. If I bring my hand close to it, then you can see the band, channel, tune, view, extras. That's really cool. That's really, really handy. It makes it just kind of minimal when you don't need those buttons. So the seats are also really comfortable, but I do feel like a tiny person when I'm in them. When I first sat in this vehicle, I was like, holy crap, I have like 3 feet of headroom. You could probably be like 6'8" and fit in this vehicle fine. I'm up so high and I still have lots of room. There's so much headroom in this vehicle, I can't even believe it. If you get the trend line, it's no secret that you would get cloth seats. But if you get the comfort line, then you get a fake leather, which is, I think, pretty interesting. It's like a leatherette. And then you get the high line, then you get this nice leather. The seats are actually quite soft. It's cool. I like it. One thing I like is how simple this is. You have one USB port in here for charging, also for media, and there's no tray or anything like that. It's just one big hole. And then also if you get the trend line, then you get manual seats, but if you get the high line or the comfort line or the exec line, obviously, then you have power seats. You also have memory seats and memory mirrors, which I think is amazing. Maybe you have a husband or a wife and they are like 4'1" and you're like 8'2". Your mirrors aren't going to line up properly. Why don't we go check out the back seat? Look at this. The seats fold flat, but now you're asking, how easily do the seats fold back up? Whoops. Here we go. There. There. Ooh, you can recline them. Hey, that's comfy. Ah, there we go. Look at that. You can have as little or as much room as you like. Like, that's a lot of room. I can stretch my legs out. That's amazing. That is so much. It's like a limousine. That's crazy. There's also a display here. There's your heated seats. You get heated rear seats when you get the high line. And then there's your automatic climate control with a little screen, so your kids can play with it. But you can also lock the rear climate control so your damn kids can't use it. There's also 2 USB chargers for, again, your children. Chances are, if you're buying this, you have a kid or 2 or 7. On the high line and the exec line, you get this screen, which is kind of neat, I guess. And then I also forgot to mention that when you get the high line, then you have an absolutely massive panoramic sunroof. Apparently, this is a big deal. Let's say you have a baby seat right here. Look at that. The baby seat is still in the seat, and it flips forward so you can climb into the back. But I would assume that you're supposed to take the kid out of the seat when you fold it forward. Junior's head goes flying into the seat in front of him. And how do I get these seats up? Ooh, that's easy. There's a lot of space back here too. And because these handles go both ways, there. That's pretty decent. There's a decent amount of space. I'm actually surprised. It actually is really comfortable back here. My knees don't even touch the seat in front of it. Neat. So, I think that it is about time that we take this beast for a drive. We are driving the 2018 Volkswagen Atlas. We're in the future, everyone. It's an incredibly smooth ride. Like, it's way smoother than I thought, and I knew it'd be smooth because it's like the size of a house, but it's super smooth. It's really hard to find a good medium for the seat height. because when I first got into the vehicle, I felt like I was a tiny person. Not figuratively, but literally. And see, now I feel like I'm too low. I can go so low in this. Look at that. I'm tiny. This vehicle is made for giants. Let's see what we can do here. That's actually pretty decent. I mean, it's no race car, but I'm no race car driver. So one thing I find kind of odd is in order to get the really nice Fender sound system with the subwoofer, you have to get the exec line. They don't offer it in any other trim. So if you get the base model or you get the high line, which is what we have, then you still get the same six speaker sound system. 6 speakers isn't that bad. I mean, it's not that great though, but we'll just have to test out the sound system. That's as loud as it goes. That's not very loud. I can still hear my own voice. I bet if you had the Fender system, it'd be a lot louder than this. I'm not saying that loudness always matters, but it's not very loud. Although it does sound good, it doesn't feel very loud. That's okay, but it's a lot of fun.
A safer ride. God bless, I set up the brakes, step through the mess, didn't wreck the
speed bumps. There we go. It does sound clear, but not gonna blow any eardrums. If you like what you saw in this video, you should let us know in the comments below. You should subscribe. And I appreciate that you like to watch these maybe you don't like to watch them, maybe you stumbled upon here and now you're just upset that you had to watch this. So long, suckers.